Jessica is seated in her car outside of a police station, chatting on the phone with her mother. Fearing that her daughter may follow in her father's footsteps and die while on duty, her mother is anxious. She cuts the conversation short since she doesn't want to discuss that on her first day of work. Jessica hesitates a little as she walks into the station. She enters to investigate as it appears like no one is there. She notices a man cursing in the distance and hears some noises. Jessica tries to talk to him, but he instructs her to stop talking. Finally approaching her, he introduces himself as SGT Cohen. Cohen informs her that this is actually the old station and not the new one. She was the fortunate newcomer who worked the final shift there. According to Cohen, every call has already been diverted to the new station. She ought to give him a few walk-ups, perhaps. She ought to give the station a call in an emergency. While guiding her into the kitchen, Cohen warns her not to enter holding. Why is she there instead of a security guard? Jessica asks him. He emphasizes that she must take care of the evidence, which is why she must be present. At some point during the night, HAZMAT will arrive at the station to dispose of it. He gives her the order to stay on the property and promises to relieve her when her shift is through. Later, Jessica almost nods off while reading a book. The phone rings and she realizes at that moment that there is something amiss with one of the hallway lights. A lady calls her in a state of despair, telling her that she is imprisoned and that everyone in her group may have died. She hangs up when she demands to know the address. Jessica makes a call to the news station right away. They basically tell her that they'll check on the call and see if the calls have been correctly diverted because she didn't have the required information from the caller. She believes it might be Cohen when she hears something being held and goes to investigate. Jessica investigates the location where the hammering noises are coming from, but she discovers nothing. Later, while eating lunch in the kitchen, Jessica discovers a long hair strand within her sandwich. Abruptly, she hears a knock at the front doors, but upon checking, nobody is there. She sees someone inside the station when she turns around. He is urinating on the floor, which Jessica notices and instructs him to leave the station. She attempts to speak with him while brandishing her baton, but when that fails, she ejects him. After cleaning the station, Jessica uses the restroom to wash her hands. She notices a pair of boots and hears strange sounds coming from the pipes. Jessica gives them up to the homeless man outside. She hears another noise when she enters again. After discovering that one of the restrooms is entirely destroyed, she proceeds to the station gym and enters the locker room. When she unlocks one of the lockers that still has a key inside, she discovers a picture of her and her father inside. When she shuts the locker, she discovers that every other one has been unlocked. Abruptly, there's a second call. It's the same woman pleading for assistance. After asking for her name, Jessica informs the woman that she has been brought to a ranch before hanging up once more. Instantly, there's another call, but it's the rubbish disposal firm this time. They're going to be running a little late, the man informs her. Jessica makes another call to the news station, informing them of the second call. They claim that the girl is contacting the station directly rather than 911. Additionally, Jessica ought to advise her to dial 911 if she calls back. As Jessica reads the manual further while she waits for a call, the raft behind her starts to move. She examines it, but finds nothing amiss. It unrolls once again as she sits down and crashes into the other rafts. Jessica investigates after hearing another commotion in the backyard. She phones it in before going to look into it after noticing that one of the doors has been opened and hearing another noise within. Jessica only receives a song back from the station. Another noise is heard and the station's alarm goes off. As she gets closer to the location where the sound originated, she begins repeating passages from the manual. She enters a filthy room where she witnesses the homeless man entering the building as a box nearly falls on her. She climbs up to get him because he's looking for something and isn't paying attention to her. She arrests him and renders him unconscious. Jessica tries to grasp him, but he resists, so she pulls him in. Screaming sounds emanate from outside as the doors smash shut. She stuns the man who is assaulting her. Jessica calls for help to open the cell door after realizing she's imprisoned inside. She is startled and drops the flashlight when a mysterious face appears on the window. All of a sudden, the homeless man is pointing the flashlight at her. She points out her weaponry to him. With the help of the illumination, the homeless man lies unconscious in the corner. Jessica queries who else is with them inside. There's a child's voice. When she knocks on the door once more, the voice asks her whether she wants to survive. When Jessica asks for her flashlight, the scene returns to darkness and she is flanked by two figures. The cell door is open and the lights come back on. After locking the prisoner inside, she leaves and makes an effort to collect herself. Later, Jessica phones Cohen and leaves a message without telling him what occurred when he doesn't answer. In an attempt to distress, she pushes back and discovers that the word "so" is inscribed on the ceiling. She urges a woman to leave when she spots her outside the station after checking the doors. Because she feels safer there, Marigold requests to finish her cigarette, and Jessica grants her request. Marigold remarks that she can tell she's a newbie even before she enters. She informs her that she was housed in a cell next to the Payman killers who had abducted and slain several females before taking their own lives in the station. Because her father was killed at the scene of the crime and she knows the offenders also perished there. Jessica is aware of the case. Marigold maintains that they brought them back to life and that she heard them singing an odd tune in the adjacent cell. Using their bed linens, they strung themselves. Marigold puts out her cigarette and stuns Jessica. While roving the station, she discovers a TV that has been turned on. A police interview with the Payman brother, who was involved in the horrific act recounted, is shown on television. Interviews with the Payman sisters are shown on two additional TVs. A flashback shows John Payman discussing the devil. The sisters' comparable statements are heard in the next flashback of the interviews. On the recording, John makes a ridiculous threat that sounds like it could be directed toward Jessica. One of the chairs abruptly swings around to her, and for a split second, it appears as though someone is seated on it. That's what it does repeatedly till it topples Jessica. She quickly answers the phone when it rings. The claim that the other girls had been slain is made by the same girl. The individuals who have done that continue to sing the song Marigold told her about. Jessica encourages the girl to escape and hide when she tries to get her to contact 911 but is told she can't. Jessica asks the girl whether she has heard of John Payman before the call ends, and she responds that she has. Since Jessica has begun to make some connections, she makes another call to the news station and tells them everything about the conversation she had with the girl. She believes that she might be among the remaining Payman family members. She tells the responding police officer. He assures her, laughing, that they are all being held under police observation at all times. He provides her with the number of a police report and instructs her to use that number if she receives any additional information when making another contact. Thanking him, she ends the call. Suddenly, she hears whistling coming from the opposite side of the station. Jessica peeks into a room that has some office chairs, but she is drawn away by other sounds. She turns to look back, and the seats are now in a different configuration. Jessica has had enough and believes that, as a rookie, the other police officers are tricking her. She goes to check when the station bell sounds and finds that there is just one officer present. She starts questioning him about whether or not other people were involved in the practical joke on her. It appears that he has no idea what she's talking about. Jessica queries whether they use the same ruse on other novices as well. Identifying himself as Price, he informs her that he has been by to see how she is doing. Price begs for permission to enter. Together, they enter the station and have a conversation. She believes that he was forced to check up on her. However, she tells him about the homeless man when he asks how her shift is going. He chuckles and claims to have seen worse, like a criminal who once urinated all over his police cruiser. He assures Jessica that he truly came to check up on her since he knew her father, and she begins to relax a little. If he was with him that night, she asks. Price explains to her the sequence of events. Even though they arrived early, they could hear the females pleading for their lives. Without any assistance, the two entered the house, and her father kept the Paymans at bay while also managing to free a few of the girls. He informs her that her father was one of the two officers who perished there. Price said her father was a fantastic police officer and would be really proud of her. She notices a large hole in his head when he turns around, and then he disappears as he passes the window outside. Jessica phones after him and follows to see where he went. She hears voices all across the station all of a sudden around her. Abruptly, she witnesses someone moving a body within the hallway. It starts to move strangely, as if it were floating. After briefly hiding, Jessica draws her revolver, and when she comes out to see if the man is still there, he has left. Suddenly, she hears the man without a home in his cell screaming. When she asks him what's wrong, he moves aside and shows her the 3 spirits in his cell. He begs to be let out of there. Jessica maintains that it isn't genuine. The man begs her not to leave him in there as he sobs. She hears the melody once more, and when she gets to where it's coming from, she witnesses some girls singing while seated in a circle. The ghost girls turn to face her, their reflections appearing normal, but their faces covered in sheets of blood. They vanish when the door closes behind her. Jessica heads to the evidence room after hearing another racket outside. She discovers it all ruined, with some men's clothing strewn in the middle. Jessica sprints to the phone and makes a call to Cohen. She tells him that she believes she is seeing things when he asks her why she is phoning. Jessica believes she won't be able to complete her shift. She is made fun of by Cohen for being terrified, and he follows up by asking if she will still be there at the conclusion of her shift. He urges her not to call him again before hanging up. She makes a call to the rubbish disposal firm to find out their arrival time. She informs him she'd be waiting for them outside in her squad car when he says he's not sure. Jessica rushes inside when the phone rings after leaving the station. Again, it's the girl informing her that she's managed to flee. She tells Jessica that she thinks she sees a sign, and Jessica holds her on the line as she makes a cell phone call to dispatch. Jessica asks the girl if she has anything she could use as a weapon after she admits that she knows she is going to die. She cuts herself off once more. Jessica uses the number that was previously provided to her when she phones the news station. When she answers the phone, the same officer informs her that the girl who has been phoning the station is deceased. Jessica finds it hard to believe. She is informed by the officer that she was the final Payman victim to be killed by a bat. He speculates that either its spirit or some of the Payman commune members may have escaped capture and are playing a cruel prank on her. The cop informs her that strange things have been occurring in the station ever since the Payman family murdered themselves there. She notices additional pictures of the girls who perished at the Payman crime scene lying on the ground. One of Price is also present. Jessica briefly closes her eyes in the hopes that it will go gone, but when she opens them, the pictures are orderly in the corridor. As Jessica views the mug photographs of the Payman family, she hears cries within her head. The picture starts to burn. Jessica wakes up to her phone ringing on the floor of the hallway. Her mother is apologizing over the phone for bringing up her father. Jessica discovers her gun is gone. She knocks herself out when she follows someone she suddenly sees in the corridor. She wakes up with a woman in an interview room. Jessica had lost all sense of what is real. The woman assures her that she would go to any lengths for John Payman and that she was the one he ought to have brought that evening. When Jessica is asked if she has seen him there, she responds that she has as well. The woman then claims to be there to commemorate the passing of her husband and uses Jessica's revolver to end her own life. Jessica picks up her gun and holster and walks past the body while the phone rings again, then proceeds to tend to it. On the phone, it's the same girl. The girl begins to chuckle when Jessica informs her that she is dead, and the phone picks up the sound of the bat striking her. Jessica hears the sound all around her and notices the girl's ghost as she peers beneath her desk. The ghost pursues Jessica as she hides in the rafts and looks for her. When she comes upon Jessica, she informs her that she wishes to live. Jessica wants to get out and rushes to the door as the spirit disappears. She is unable to shoot her way out or unlock the door. Her cell phone rings. Her father is phoning. He compliments her on her drive and wonders why, given that he sacrificed his life for the work. She is attempting to quit. Jessica says she won't and apologizes. He informs her that she must take action since the individual who killed him is still inside the building. Abruptly, the vagrant man passes by her. She tells him to get down and asks how he got out. He transforms into a ghost as she tries to handcuff him. When Jessica opens the homeless man's cell, she discovers he has passed away. King of Hell is inscribed on the walls. Jessica tries to phone the news station to ask for help, but all she hears on her radio is static, followed by another song and a scream. A ghost materializes next to her as blood spurts out of the radio. In a projection, she witnesses the Paymans performing a ceremony in their cell before taking their own lives. Johns removes the sheet and turns to face Jessica. Suddenly, the ghosts are on the projection next to her. Price also shows up and takes a self-shot. She discovers a picture of her father and reads passages from the law enforcement codex, but John almost grabs her. Once more, her father phones to let her know they're on their way. He says she must take all necessary measures to stop them. She fires at a couple men who are wearing hoods as they appear. She is instructed to locate them. Jessica finds herself in the evidence room while looking for them. When she hears them once more, she follows. Jessica fires at one, then pursues the others. She removes another one and renders another one incapable. She also shoots him when he begins to talk about the devil. Abruptly, she is also shot. With his rifle aimed at her, Cohen materializes behind her. She looks around and realizes the man she killed worked for the trash management firm. There is a flashback showing the actual events. Jessica finds it unbelievable. All of the guys from the company who were meant to come take care of the evidence have been killed by her. Jessica begins to sing the Payman song as Cohen calls the incident in. She is taken by the 3 Payman ghosts that emerge. To ensure you never miss any updates on new videos, kindly click the bell icon, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.